They announced they're starting Jackson Dart. How do you think that impacts the game, and do you think you'll still see both quarterbacks?
I have no idea. I don't know what the extent of Slovis's injury is. Jackson has played in 3 games so far this year. Their offense doesn't change though with Jackson in as opposed to Keaton in. They're still a version of the air raid. I think they're very eerily similar in terms of, you look at statistical. I think Keaton's at 65%, Jackson's at 62% completion percentage. Jackson's thrown 6 and 3 TDs to interceptions. I think Keaton's like 11 to 3 or 4. So it's the offense isn't very much different when Jackson's in compared to Keaton's in. So you're still defending what Graham Harrell is running. So
You seem to have some success with maybe a little bit more spread formations in that last game. Do you feel like that was something that you found that was good that you can continue?
no, I think every time you have a game plan, it depends on who you're playing against. So how does Colorado deploy their personnel and what's their spacing? Is that different than what Washington does or that Stanford does? So, it's individual by game plan in terms of how they do it. That's kind of the game that goes on with the game. How are they matching your personnel groupings that go in? Are they going big or are they going small? If they're going small, we do this. If they're going big, we do this. So, and then you see if that works. But I don't think you can look at game plan from Colorado and say that game plan for Colorado applies, because the defense that Todd Orlando runs is way different than the defense that Colorado runs.
Can you talk about Britton Brown? Zach Charbonnet gets a lot of the highlights, but the Britton Brown, like this last game, over 10 yards to carry.
Yeah, Britton's been a force since he's been here for the last 2 years. You look at a year ago when it was him and Felt, and then when Felt didn't play in the last game, I think Britt went for 225 against Stanford. So talented downhill running back. He runs angry in a positive way. He's tough. He's hard-nosed. He's really, really smart. I think he's got a future. He'll play football after college. I know there's a lot of people that like his style. He's a one-cut downhill runner. There's just a toughness to Britt. He's a kind of a no-nonsense guy that takes everything really seriously. And he can do a lot of things. You think about when he's done, he's going to have a Duke undergrad degree and a UCLA graduate degree, along with the football prowess that he has. But we're real fortunate that we have Britton.
I don't want to ask a silly question, but I missed it on Monday. How is Britton available? I know
he's available. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Exactly how available, but we plan on Britton being available.
And then Daytona. What about him?
Daytona is here today. He's available.
You talked about the rivalry before, but it's your level of appreciation for it just kind of deepened every year you've been here.
I don't know if deepened is. I've always, there's certain games that just stand out. Army, Navy, Alabama, Auburn, Michigan, Ohio State, USC, UCLA. That people can rattle off that are the true, things. I think the unique thing about this is just the proximity of the schools. That's what I think that makes it really a little bit different and a little bit special. There's so many players that play there that played high school guys with our guys. There's kids that went to high school together and grew up together, then they just went to different colleges. So I think it's the familiarity and the closeness of the two schools that I think makes it kind of unique, and the cool that both teams wear their home jerseys, and I think that part of it, there's some uniqueness to it. So it's been battles. There always have been battles, but I think those are the games that when you listen to the alums at both schools talk about, it's what happened in that game that year. So.
You talk to your players about not getting too emotionally amped up for a game like this?
You do at times. There's always learning opportunities when you get to those things. And I think when you play in games like this, the biggest message is that we have to play with emotion, not let emotion play with us. And the game is won between the white lines. And that's what it all comes down to. And for us, it's our preparation so that when we get to Saturday, are we prepared for what's going to happen between the white lines? So. But that's something you have to be conscious of, to be honest with you.
How gratifying is it as a coach? All wins are gratifying, but to actually go into your rival's home field and actually win, is that a certain feeling that you get?
Yeah, I think for anybody, the toughest thing to do, especially in collegiate football, is to win on the road. And I think there's a feeling of it's kind of the group you're traveling with and your small contingent of fans that they give tickets to, against everybody on the other side. So there's a little bit of a gladiator mentality to it. So I think the really competitive teams actually enjoy playing on the road. This group has been good on the road this year, with the exception of one time at Utah, but had a big win at Washington, a big win at Stanford. So these guys understand that. It's still not as big a road game, I think, just because of the proximity to the schools. So, we'll do everything here on Friday. We're not flying somewhere, getting on the road, being in a hotel the night before the game. We'll do everything here on campus and then drive over in the morning. But I think that makes it unique too, is that, you're getting on the buses, but you're not going to the Rose Bowl, you're going to the Coliseum. So,
how have they compensated for the loss of Drake London? Are they running the ball more? Obviously, they have to go with different receivers, but how are they handling that?
I think the offense really hasn't changed. I think Taj Washington and Gary Bryant Jr. have stepped up a little bit in terms of being the next receivers in. But when you look at the numbers, I think Drake London had 88 catches. The next one has 41. Then the next one has 30. Then there's a running back at 19 and a tight end at 10. So there was a big drop off. Drake London is as good a wide receiver as there is in the country. And when you lose a player of that caliber, those touches more than anything have to be distributed. But again, I think Graham does it off of what the look is. So if you're going to pack the box, their system is, then they're going to throw it. But if you're going to back off of them, and play really, really loose, then they're going to run it. So I think they're going to the way they operate in that offense is really kind of what you express defensively, and then they counter what you're trying to counter. So, but there are other guys that are stepping up, and right now it's Washington and Bryant. Kyle Ford's playing a little bit more and doing some really nice things on the outside. He's a real talented receiver also. They're getting the tight end and running back involved with some catches. I think Ingram has 19 catches on the season, so they're throwing the ball a little bit more to the back. And I think that may be because of, I think it's a good point. I think it may be because that Drake is out. So who are some of those other guys that they're compensating for? So, part of the air raid is that they want to be balanced in terms of not run past, but how many touches everybody gets. So can they get multiple touches for the outside receivers, the inside receivers, the running backs, and they try to spread it around that way. So I think that's what they're doing a little bit more of. They probably relied a little bit more on Drake, as anybody in the country would do, because he was so talented. It was, you go into the game, especially just following it this year, of, if you can shut down. You listen to other coaches talk about if we can shut down London, and then he has 12 catches for 100. I mean, that's how talented he is. So they are different from that, but I think they're trying to spread the ball around a little bit more, which is the philosophy of that offense. So.
You know Dante at all?
I don't. I mean, I know of him, but I don't. We don't text or phone call, but I know who he is, and I have respect for him when he was on Mike Riley's staff at Nebraska, and then at Oregon with Mario, and then now down at USC. So I know him, but I don't know him, like I know David Shaw or Kyle or some of the other guys in the league.
Obviously, it's your defense going against their offense, but when you're going against an air raid that's kind of put up a lot of points on you in the past, does that kind of change how you game plan on offense too?
No, I mean, we still have to do what we do on the offensive side of the ball. So, but then again, it's how the game expresses itself. Do you jump out to a big lead, and then does your mindset come that all of a sudden it's a 3-score game and there's only X possessions left in the game, and then how do we handle it? And then you get into it. I think that's how you go into anything. It's the same thing as if you get behind. We may have to throw it more than we, thought originally going into it. But I think that's how the game expresses itself as it unfolds in real time. But, no one has the crystal ball to go in and say, hey, we're going to do this, and then this is going to play itself out. But, we have to play to our – when you get to this point in time in the season, it's game 11 for us. I think game 10 for us, game 10 for them because the Cal game was postponed. But, we're going to do what we do. And they have to stop us, and they're going to do what they do, and we have to stop them. So it's at that point in time. I don't think anybody's going to come out with anything drastically new this Saturday that's going to surprise anybody. So,
All right, thanks, Kurt.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.